The Moment of Lift by Melinda Gates. Empowering women changes the world. At its core, The Moment of Lift emphasizes how lifting up women is key to solving many global challenges. Gates draws from her work at the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, focusing on areas like family planning, maternal health, education, and poverty. In this video review, we're going to dive deeper into this book. What is it about? Is it good? Should you read it or not? And what are some complementary books that you can read? Let's dive right into it. Hi and welcome to the Booklab. I'm Björn, and in today's review we're going to talk about The Moment of Lift by Melinda Gates. Part memoir, part call to action, this book weaves together Melinda Gates' personal experiences with her extensive philanthropic work, underscoring the importance of gender equality when it comes to transforming societies. Her message is simple yet profound. When we empower women, their families, their societies, even nations are lifted out of cycles of poverty, oppression, and inequality. And I want to jump into this book a little bit and just show a few of the stories that you read about, because there's a lot of personal anecdotes in this book. Hopefully that will help you get a sense of what this book is about. In Malawi, Gates shares a story of a young girl named Mariam who was able to stay in school thanks to a program that encouraged parents to keep their daughters in school rather than to marry them off early. When Mariam was given this opportunity, not only did she excel at her work, she also became a role model in her community. Her education opened new doors for her, and it also demonstrated the value and social benefits of educating girls. The books also talk a lot about contraception and family planning. Melinda Gates talks about women in rural parts of Africa who gained access to contraceptives, which allowed them to control the timing and size of their families. One example of this is Sadi. After she got access to contraception, she was able to plan out and space out her birth, allowing her to invest more resources and more attention into their child's upbringing, improving her economic situation. Access to contraceptions really mattered. And another thing that I found shocking in this book is that across the world there's a lot of places where women are not allowed to handle money or have access to banking at all. This of course puts a lid on how much power they have in their own development, because who better to know where to invest for making women's lives easier than the women themselves? And this is one of the reasons I got so interested in permissionless money after reading the Bitcoin Standard. This book, one of the things that really impressed me with this protocol and tech is that it's permissionless. Anyone can join or opt out at any time. There's nothing needed. There's no personal ID. You don't even need an internet connection to interact with this financial network. And it was so inspiring to see when I did a lot of research on Bitcoin, for instance, see how small communities of women used Bitcoin on the Lightning Network to create markets for themselves in very remote parts of the world. And I found it very inspiring. Of course, as a Swede, banking, having access to money is not something you think about that much, but there are parts of the world where this is not true. I think it's fascinating. Before we jump into the book verdict for The Moment of Lift, I just want to say if you enjoy the content, like and subscribe. You will get more content like this from my channel and other channels. It will pop up in your feed. And every month I also do a breakdown of all the latest non-fiction releases that I found most exciting in the categories of philosophy, psychology, human nature, and human potential. And I categorize this book under the human potential category. So now we got a sense of what this book is about and how it chronicles Gates' experiences in her work and career, and what she learned by working with charities that empower women, and how empowering women can trickle down into unlocking potentials in societies. This book highlights a lot of issues that I haven't given sufficient thought and attention, probably because it's talking about women's problem and I'm a man. It talks about the problems of the poor and I live in a rich country. So there's a lot of eye-opening ideas here. Of course, I understand that contraceptives and family planning is important, but I didn't know and I didn't realize how important it is. This book brings the work of Hans Rosling to mind, the author behind Factfulness, which is a quite famous book that you probably heard of. And as a fun fact, Rosling himself was a mentor to Melinda Gates, so they know each other. So these books could compare. As when Hans Rosling's book are more driven by statistics and numbers, Melinda's book is more, well, it leans more on empathy and personal anecdotes. And of course, they have slightly different aims. Melinda Gates is fully focused on women, while Hans Rosling is talking about poverty in general. For me, I prefer Rosling's books, his memoir or Factfulness over this book, probably because I'm more of a numbers guy in a way. Probably the worst part of this book is the call to action towards the end, where Melinda Gates promotes all these initiatives and ideas for how we can increase equality at work. And for us who has been working through the woke phase that has been for the last couple of years, some of us have noticed that these ideas of DEI initiatives and so on doesn't always lead to the result that they aim for, and often making it even worse for the people it's trying to uplift. I've heard endless stories of this, and I've also worked on a project with Microsoft actually that was really heavy on these ideas, and it just ended up with us not being able to achieve anything because everything was scrutinized through this lens of diversity and inclusion and equality, and everything which just became very, very complicated. And we were a group of creative people that want to do stuff together, but everyone was just watching their mouth. They didn't want to put up ideas because they were afraid of the DEYers to just shoot it down because they could find some small angle of attacking it. Just led to a lot of confrontation and conflict in the workplace. And I actually heard, which I think is positive news, that Microsoft actually closed down their DEY department. So sometimes the road to hell is paved by good intention. Anyway, this book is at its best when Melinda shares her anecdote of her work, her charity work. So an okay book. If you're interested in the subject, then definitely pick it up. Coming up next on the channel will be reviews of The Fourth Turning. I don't have the book here. It's about cycles in politics, culture, everything. These guys, they have an idea of a cycler pattern in between generations of people. Quite interesting book. I'm also going to give you a review of Adam Smith's The Wealth of Nations, if I can only make it through it. It's such a long book. We also have the October releases coming up, so I'm going to do a video for that when we reach the end of September. So see you soon. Happy reading. Björn out.